Well, one thing that just occurred to me is that in the early farm, we, besides being here and working on getting our system set up and so forth, we were also a bit of an evangelical group in that we were going out on tour with Stephen and the Farm Band. We had a pretty good rock and roll band, very accomplished, great lead guitar player, and we had a scenic cruiser bus, and we were going out on these tours to colleges and community centers and city parks all over the country. We had several tours. We had one tour just in the West, the Great Western Tour, and then we had tours that I remember a concert at Yale University one time where we got there and we're in an auditorium, and the band came out and started to play, and joints, rolled joints, started raining from the ceiling. The Yale University students had rigged up to have happen. So, 1973, I don't think that would happen today. But at any rate, so when we would be out there, we would be talking about the farm. We're setting up this community. You want to come live with us, or hey, why don't you start your own? You know, so a lot of people would start their own. Say, you know what? We're here in Missouri. We've got a little piece of land. We want to start our own, but we want to be hooked up with you guys. We want to be part of the farm thing. And so a lot of them started that way, where people said, you know what, we'll start one in our own place. Plus we had too many people, and we thought it was a good idea to have some safety valves, you know, so there were some other places people could go. Plus sometimes these centers or satellites would coalesce around a plenty project. Like I was in Washington, D.C., we had a couple things going on up there. For one thing, we were suing the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to shut down atomic power. For another thing, we were helping Native Americans who were coming to meet with their congressmen and senators about various issues affecting them. We were helping what we call atomic veterans. These are the guys that flew through the mushroom clouds back in the early 50s atomic tests, and were now had cancer, and we're trying to get some help for their widows from the Veterans Administration. And then we started a clinic for Central American refugees who were pouring into Washington, D.C. In New York, in the South Bronx, we had an ambulance service going on, and that was a whole, everybody in that satellite community, which was 35 people in a tenement in the South Bronx, was involved in that ambulance service. In Miami, Florida, we had a home for the elderly. So that was oftentimes the reason behind, or the integrating factor of a satellite community. But it was a very, you know, rambunctious, energetic time where we were just like going crazy. We were just all over the place. We didn't see any limits. It was like, let's go, you know. Like I say, we thought everybody would be living like us in 10, 15 years. We thought that was the way to go. And the fact that it didn't go quite the way we expected it to go was, you know, a lesson learned, and that's why you know, we realized that we're not going to do it all. It's going to have to be other generations, and this is an ongoing process. And I think we're continuing to evolve. I think we're aging, we're dying. We've lost 4 board members in the last 5 years, in their 50s. And so we're also very aware that we need to pass the torch, and You know, I don't think that the you know, I can't predict exactly how it will go, but right now we're at a place of watching. We have a lot of people who used to live here, or are old friends of our generation, that want to move back. You know, their kids are grown, they're retired, they want to come back. I think that the future of this community will be not necessarily the young people that grew up here, but the young people who are looking for community for the first time. And a lot of them come through the Eco Village Training Center and stay, and others come through the midwife training program, young women with young families. Our children who come back here, it's usually after they're married and are going to have a kid. Then they want to come back. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, how that evolves. But, you know, I'm not worried about it, you know, because our kids are really talented, and you know, your generation is really way ahead of, like, I can see how things evolve enough to see how far ahead you guys are at your age from where we were at a similar age. You know, that's pretty impressive, and that's the hope of the world to me, is that's proof that things are moving, things are growing, the human mind is evolving, is getting wiser. You know, I'm only really shocked that we still have war at this late date. And the thing that I can't emphasize enough is that until, you know, everything that we want to do about ecology and the environment is a waste of time if we're still having war. We got to get rid of that, and that's when we'll know that humankind has reached an area of true growth. And I don't know how many people, all of us, that when 9/11 happened all understood the same thing at the same time. You know what? This is an opportunity to break the habit, the war habit. This is a perfect opportunity. We don't need to go bomb anybody. We don't need to. It's not going to help. We could do something really interesting that would shake things up in a way that would change the course of history. I mean, so, and I feel like everybody who was in the street before that war on Iraq, everybody all over the planet had that same feeling, like, why are we doing this again? And you know, it's unbelievable. But you say, you know, how many times do we have to get down that road before? Wasn't there an old song about that? How many? Anyway, that's the ongoing thing that we all share, and that's you know, that's the dream that we all keep working on, and we all feel good.